He stood up suddenly and pointed at them. "This marriage is cursed," he shouted. Miracle and Monica looked at each other in confusion and fear. "What do you mean?" Miracle asked. "You two are not supposed to be together," the priest said with a heavy voice. "You are not husband and wife. You are mother and son." Monica screamed and stepped back. "What? No. That's not true." In a village nestled deep within the heart of Africa, where culture was more than identity, it was law, there lived the people of Umuchu Kingdom. Their traditions were sacred, handed down from their forefathers, and enforced by spiritual laws that no one dared question. One of the most feared customs involved newborns. Every child born within the kingdom had to be taken to the ancient shrine of Ogwugwu, where the chief priest would perform a series of rituals to cleanse the child and reveal their destiny. The shrine, surrounded by sacred trees and guarded by ancestral spirits, was a place of both reverence and fear. If a child was found to have an evil destiny, they would not be allowed to live. They would be thrown into the evil forest, where wild beasts and spirits roamed freely. Presiding over Umuchu Kingdom was King Buzo, a wise and seasoned ruler who had sat on the throne for over 3 decades. His authority stretched across 5 villages. He had inherited the throne from his father, King Uzumba, and ruled with the guidance of ancient customs. In the village of Umuchu, where tradition shaped every step people took, there lived a respected elder named Mr. Okonkwo. He was not just any man. He was one of the richest farmers in the land. His barns were always full, his goats and cows well fed, and his name was spoken with respect in every corner of the kingdom. Mr. Okonkwo was also a man of pride. He believed in hard work, strong values, and the importance of family honor. He had many children, but his heart beat strongest for his last daughter, Monica. Monica was 18 years old, full of life and beauty. She had smooth chocolate-brown skin that glowed in the sunlight, and her pointed nose gave her a unique charm. Her laughter was soft like music, and when she walked through the village, even the elders would pause to admire her grace. But behind her smile, Monica carried a secret. She had fallen in love. His name was Emeka, a boy from the neighboring village of Nobi. Emeka was tall, with a sharp jawline and confident eyes. He had dreams of leaving the village one day, going to the city, and becoming a businessman. He often talked about how life could be different, how love should be free, not controlled by customs and parents. Monica loved listening to him. Every word he said made her heart beat faster. Their love was like a sweet dream, but it was also dangerous. In Umuchu, girls were not allowed to meet boys in secret, especially not boys from other villages. But Monica didn't care. Her heart was young, and she believed love could conquer anything. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, Monica sat alone behind her father's house. Her hands trembled as she looked down at her stomach. She was pregnant. The thought hit her like thunder. She couldn't eat. She couldn't sleep. She felt shame. She felt fear. Her father would be crushed. The villagers would gossip. And worst of all, Emeka didn't know yet. "I must tell him," she whispered to herself, wiping away tears. She sent a message through a friend to Emeka. They agreed to meet that evening under the old mango tree by the stream path, a place where they used to sit and talk for hours. As the sky turned orange, Monica arrived first. She wore a simple white dress, her hair tied back in a scarf. Her heart beat fast with hope and fear. Soon Emeka appeared, walking slowly, his hands in his pockets. "Monica," he said, smiling. "You look different." Monica forced a small smile. "Emeka, I have something to tell you." "What is it?" he asked, sitting beside her. She took a deep breath. I'm pregnant. The words fell heavy in the air. Emika's smile disappeared. He blinked quickly, as if he didn't hear her right. What? I said I'm pregnant. Emika, I'm carrying your child. Silence. Monica reached for his hand. Please don't be scared. I haven't told anyone. You're the only one. I swear no one else has touched me. You're the father. Emika pulled his hand away, standing up. No. This can't be happening. Emika, please. Monica stood too, her eyes filling with tears. Don't leave me. We can talk to my father. Maybe he will understand. Love you. I know you love me too. I can't do this, Monica, he said, shaking his head. I have dreams. I want to leave this village. I want to go to the city. I can't be a father now. I'm too young. I'm not ready. She held his arm tightly. We can raise the child together. Please, Emika. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. But Emika stepped back, his voice cold now. Go and find the real father of your child. Monica gasped, her mouth open in shock. What? Emika. You know I've only been with you. But Emika had already turned away. He walked off without looking back, leaving her standing there, broken. She fell to her knees in the dirt and cried. The moon rose above the trees, watching her silently as her sobs echoed through the night. Later that night, Monica returned home quietly. Her eyes were swollen. She snuck into her room without waking anyone. She curled up on her bed, holding her stomach. What will I do now? She whispered to the darkness. She thought about her father. If he found out, he might send her away. Or worse, take her to the shrine of Ogwugwu to ask the gods for judgment. And if the gods revealed the truth? He shivered. I will hide it, she said. No one will know. I will protect my baby, even if the whole world turns against me. From that moment, Monica carried not just the weight of her pregnancy, but the fear of what the future would bring. Her burden had just begun. The sun was already high in the sky, casting bright light over the rooftops of Umuchu when Monica and her mother, Eukarya, stood in the small outdoor kitchen behind their house. The smell of boiling yam filled the air. Monica stood quietly, peeling vegetables, her face pale and her eyes tired. You've been quiet these days, Eukarya said, glancing at her daughter. Are you feeling well? Monica nodded quickly. Yes, Mama. I'm just tired. But before she could finish her sentence, her face twisted in discomfort. She dropped the knife and ran to the backyard, holding her stomach. Eukarya rushed after her, calling her name. Monica! Monica, what is it? From behind the tree, Monica bent over and vomited. Eukarya stared, her heart beginning to pound. When Monica returned, wiping her mouth, her mother's eyes were already filled with suspicion. She stepped closer, looked her daughter up and down, and placed her hand on Monica's chest. Her eyes widened. She gasped loudly, her voice filled with horror. My enemies have caught me, she shouted, staggering back. Jesus! Monica, what have you done? Monica's lips trembled. Mama, I didn't mean to. Tears ran down her cheeks. Speak now, or I will pull the truth out of your mouth. Eukarya yelled. Monica fell to her knees. It was Emika, she sobbed. Emika from Nobi. He is the one. Eukarya went silent for a moment, staring at her daughter as if she couldn't believe her ears. Then, with a loud cry of anger, she grabbed Monica by the wrist and began dragging her through the compound. Where are we going, Mama? Monica cried, trying to free herself. To his house, Eukarya shouted. Let us see how long the lie will hide. The journey from their house to Emeka's home in Nobi was short, but it felt like forever for Monica. People watched them as they passed, some whispering, others pointing. By the time they reached the gate of Emeka's house, Eukarya was breathing heavily with rage. She banged on the wooden door with her fist. "Come out here. Angela, come out." A few seconds later, Mrs. Angela, Emeka's mother, came out wearing a wrapper and head tie. She looked confused. "Eukarya, what is the meaning of this noise?" she asked. Eukarya didn't waste time. "Call your son. Call that useless boy. The seed he planted has grown." Angela blinked. "What seed?" Eukarya screamed. "Your he-goat of a son has put my daughter in the family way." Angela frowned and folded her arms. "Be careful with your words. Are you saying my son got your daughter pregnant? Ask him yourself." Eukarya spat. Angela turned and shouted, "Emeka, come out here. Now." From inside the house, footsteps approached slowly. Emeka appeared at the door, his face tense and unsure. He saw Monica standing behind her mother, her eyes red and swollen from crying. Angela stepped aside. "Emeka, did you get this girl pregnant?" Emeka looked at Monica, then at his mother, then at Eukarya. The silence was thick. Monica stepped forward, her voice trembling. "Emeka, please tell them the truth," she said softly. "You know what happened. Don't let me suffer alone." But Emeka's expression turned cold. He looked away. "I don't know what she's talking about," he said flatly. "I never touched her." Monica's heart dropped. "What?" she whispered. "Emeka, you said you loved me. You said—" "I said nothing," Emeka interrupted, refusing to meet her eyes. "I'm not the father." Monica let out a loud cry and fell to her knees. "Why are you lying? Why are you doing this to me?" Eukarya moved toward him, raising her hands in frustration. "You wicked boy. May the same shame fall on you one day. May your lies follow you forever." But Angela only shook her head and walked back into the house. "This is your problem, not mine," she said as she shut the door. Emeka turned and walked away too, disappearing into the backyard. Monica lay on the ground, crying loudly, her body shaking from the weight of betrayal. Her mother bent down, helped her up, and held her for a moment. "Get up," Eukarya said through clenched teeth. "We are going home. But you will not go free." As they walked back through the village, Monica's tears didn't stop. Her mother said nothing. But the moment they stepped into the house, Eukarya picked up a short broom and began to beat her. "You have disgraced me," she shouted between lashes. "I warned you about boys. I gave you food, clothes, love, and this is how you pay me." "I'm sorry, Mama," Monica cried, covering her head. "I was foolish. I didn't know this would happen." Eukarya stopped, breathing heavily, tears now running down her own face. She dropped the broom and sat down on the floor, holding her chest. "I'm not beating you because I hate you," she said softly. "I'm beating you because you've broken my heart." Monica crawled to her and rested her head on her mother's lap. They both cried together, mother and daughter, surrounded by pain, shame, and silence. Outside, the sun was still shining, but for Monica, everything felt dark. The world now knew her secret, and in a village where traditions were stronger than mercy, the real battle was only just beginning. Even though shame had visited their home, Monica's family stood together. Her father, Mr. Okonkwo, had been silent for days after the scandal. But when he saw his daughter's growing belly, he made a decision. "This child will not suffer for the mistake of two foolish lovers," he said one evening, sitting under the orange tree in their compound. "We will raise the baby as our own." Eukarya nodded, still nursing the pain in her heart. "Let the village talk," she added. "We will not throw away our blood." In Umuchu there was a tradition. When a child is born outside of marriage, the baby does not belong to the man, even if he later agrees to marry the girl. That child becomes the full responsibility of the girl's family. So when Monica finally gave birth, after a long and painful labor, her parents wrapped the baby in clean white cloth and sang songs of relief. "It's a boy," the midwife announced with a smile. "Strong lungs too." Monica, exhausted and soaked in sweat, managed a tired smile. She held her son gently, tears slipping from her eyes. "I will protect you," she whispered, "no matter what." Her father named the child Obinna, which meant father's heart. It was a powerful name, a name that carried both hope and love. Perhaps it was also a way to cover their pain with something beautiful. For a few days, peace returned to the household. Neighbors came with palm wine, gifts, and quiet gossip. Some came to congratulate, others just came to stare. But on the fourth day, as the customs demanded, a loud knock shook their compound. "Who is that?" Mr. Okonkwo called from inside. A man stepped in, barefoot, with chalk on his face and red cloth tied around his waist. He held a carved staff decorated with feathers and cowries. "I am a messenger of Ogwugwu," he said. "The gods have seen the child. It is time. The baby must come to the shrine for the destiny ritual." Monica's heart jumped. Eukarya clutched her wrapper. "All ready?" "Yes," the messenger said firmly. "It is the law. The gods must speak." Mr. Okonkwo sighed. He knew this day would come. There was no escaping it. Early the next morning, the family began to prepare. Monica's hands shook as she folded the white cloth. Her mother packed the coconuts, palm oil, native chalk, and tied a live cock in a small basket. As they walked toward the shrine path, villagers stepped aside, whispering, "Is that Monica's child? Let's see what the gods say." The shrine of Ogwugwu stood tall and mysterious at the edge of the sacred forest. Tall trees surrounded it, their roots crawling along the ground like snakes. Birds flew above, but none landed. The air was thick with smoke from burning herbs. The chief priest, a tall, serious-looking man covered in white chalk and red camwood, stood at the entrance. He carried a rattle in one hand and spoke with the deep voice of someone who had seen many things. "You are welcome," he said slowly. "Place your offerings before the gods." Mr. Okonkwo stepped forward, bowing. "We have come as the custom demands. This is the child born into our home." The priest nodded. He took the coconuts, broke them, and tossed the pieces into a small fire. The flames hissed and danced. Then he poured palm oil onto a stone and rubbed native chalk on the baby's forehead. He took the live cock, said a prayer in a deep, strange language, and handed it to one of his assistants. The cock was taken behind the shrine. Then the priest lifted baby Obinna high into the air. "The gods must see him," he said. "They must speak." He began to chant, circling the child in slow steps. Monica stood beside her mother, her hands clutched tightly. Mr. Okonkwo held his breath. The chant started out calm, peaceful, but soon the rhythm changed. The priest's voice slowed. His smile faded. His eyes grew distant. Then he began to speak, not in clear words, but in proverbs and riddles. A river that flows backward confuses the fishes. The drummers at the back stopped. A child whose feet point home, but whose shadow stretches away, carries a curse. The air turned cold. Monica's heart beat loudly in her chest. When the path of destiny crosses forbidden land, the gods weep in silence. The priest lowered the child and stared into the distance as if he saw something no one else could see. Eucharia whispered, "What is he saying?" Monica whispered back, "I don't know. Mama, I'm scared." The priest looked at them with heavy eyes. "There is confusion in this child's journey," he said. "The spirits say his path is not straight. His spirit comes from an unknown place, and he brings with him a heavy shadow." Monica stepped forward. "What does that mean? Is he cursed?" The priest did not answer. Instead, he turned slowly and began walking into the shrine with the baby in his arms. Eucharia gasped, "Where is he going?" An assistant stopped her gently. "Let the gods speak clearly. He will return." Inside the shrine, no one knew what the priest was doing. Smoke rose higher into the sky. Monica's knees gave way. She sat on the ground, weeping quietly. "God, please don't take my baby," she whispered. After what felt like a lifetime, the priest returned with the child. He said nothing at first, just handed the baby back. "The gods are not finished," he finally said. "This child must be watched. He has a hidden rope tying him to something forbidden. If that rope is not cut, he will fulfill a dark prophecy." Everyone stood still. "What prophecy?" Mr. Okonkwo asked. But the priest raised his hand. "That is all the gods have said for now." The family left the shrine with heavy hearts. The drums did not play. The villagers did not cheer. Monica held her baby tighter than ever. Obinna slept peacefully in her arms, unaware that his future had already been marked by mystery. The air around the shrine grew still. Even the leaves in the sacred trees stopped rustling. The baby Obinna let out a soft cry as if sensing something was terribly wrong. The chief priest, his eyes wide and his voice low, stopped chanting. His hand trembled slightly as he pointed at the child lying peacefully in Monica's arms. "This child," he said, his tone filled with dread, "is cursed with a destiny too dark for even the sun to witness." Everyone froze. "He is destined," the priest continued slowly, "to marry and impregnate his own mother." A loud scream escaped from Eucharia. "Tufiakwa!" she shouted, falling to the ground. "Abomination! This cannot be." Monica's body went limp. Her hands lost strength, and the baby almost slipped from her arms. She collapsed, her face pale, her mind spinning. "No, no, no!" she cried, barely able to breathe. "What kind of evil is this? How can this be my baby's future?" Mr. Okonkwo stood stiff like a tree. His walking stick dropped to the ground. His mouth moved, but no words came out for several seconds. Finally he stepped forward, his voice shaking. "Chief priest, please. Is there nothing that can be done? Can this destiny be changed? Reversed? Cleansed?" The priest looked at him, sorrow in his eyes. "No," he said firmly. "It is sealed by the gods. The thread of this boy's fate is tied tightly to the womb that bore him. As long as he breathes, the prophecy will chase him. And one day, it will catch him." Monica let out another scream. "But he's just a baby. He doesn't know anything. I've suffered enough, please." The priest remained silent for a moment, then turned to his shrine assistant and nodded. The assistant brought out a bowl of white chalk, a small gourd of palm oil, and a bunch of fresh palm fronds. "Bring the mother, the child, and the grandfather forward," the priest commanded. Still trembling, Eukarya helped Monica stand. Mr. Okonkwo took the child gently. The priest dipped his fingers in the chalk and marked a white cross on each of their foreheads. "This mark is not for blessing," he said. "It is for separation. From this moment on, this child no longer belongs to this household." He dipped a leaf in palm oil and touched it to Monica's chest. "You, his mother, must never raise him. You must never speak to him again. If you ever reunite, the gods will not forgive it." Monica wept loudly, hugging her baby close. "But he's mine. My baby. Please don't take him from me." The priest looked away, his heart heavy. Sometimes, love must be buried to save a soul. He then wrapped the baby gently in a basket woven from sacred leaves. The baby stirred and let out a soft cry. The priest handed the basket to his assistant. "The child must not return to the village. His presence is dangerous. If he stays, the gods will turn their backs on Umuchu." Mr. Okonkwo took a deep breath, fighting his tears. "So where will he go?" The priest answered. "The evil forest awaits. There is a cave inside it, far from human eyes. The spirits will keep him there until his time comes." Eukarya shouted again. "No, we cannot throw him to wild spirits. He's just an innocent baby." But the priest raised his hand. "This is not punishment. It is protection. We are hiding the fire before it burns the world." He turned to Monica. "Say goodbye." Monica fell to her knees beside the basket, her hands trembling. She touched the baby's tiny hand. "I'm sorry, Obinna," she whispered through her tears. "I love you. I never wanted this life for you. Please, forgive me." She kissed his forehead one last time. The baby opened his eyes, looked at her, and smiled. Then he was carried away. Monica collapsed in her mother's arms, crying like her heart had been torn in two. As the baby disappeared into the forest path, a cold wind swept across the shrine. The birds cried out. The sky darkened just slightly, and the priest turned to the family one last time. "From today, speak of this child no more," he said. "Forget his name. Forget his face. Or his curse will remember you." And with that, the family walked home, empty, broken, and carrying a secret they could never speak of again. The morning sky was gray, as if the heavens themselves were mourning what was about to happen. The birds sang softly, and a cold wind moved through the trees. Monica, her face swollen from crying, walked slowly behind the chief priest. Her mother, Eukarya, held her close, whispering quiet prayers under her breath. Mr. Okonkwo walked ahead, shoulders stiff, gripping his staff like it was the only thing holding him upright. No one spoke. The path to the evil forest was narrow and filled with dead leaves. As they walked deeper, the trees grew thicker, the light dimmer. Strange sounds came from the forest. Distant cries of animals, the crack of branches, the whisper of unseen spirits. Every step felt heavier. Monica stumbled once. "Mama, I can't," she sobbed. "I can't go on. Let me hold him one last time." Eukarya wiped her tears and held her tighter. "You already said goodbye, my daughter. Be strong." "But he's my baby." Monica's voice broke. "He doesn't even know me yet." Mr. Okonkwo stopped and turned to them, his face hard but wet with tears. "We are not doing this because we want to. We are doing this because the gods gave us no choice." The priest didn't speak. He kept walking, the basket with the baby still tied across his back. The soft sound of the baby's coos rose above the silence now and then, like a melody meant to break their hearts. At last, they reached the edge of the evil forest. A tall wooden sign stood there, marked with red chalk and feathers. No one passed that sign except priests and the mad. The trees beyond it were twisted and darker. The wind felt colder. The priest turned around. "This is where you stop," he said firmly. "Only I may pass through this line." He took the basket from his back and placed it gently on the ground. He knelt beside it and closed his eyes. "O great Ogwugwu," he began, "we bring to you the child whose destiny shakes the earth. Do not see him as evil, but as one caught in a web not of his making." He poured some palm oil on the ground. He broke kola nut and dropped the pieces. He sprinkled white chalk in a circle around the baby's basket. Then he stood up and looked at the family. "The gods have spoken. What has been done cannot be undone. But this child is not to die. He will live far from you." He picked up the basket again and stepped over the red line into the forest. "Wait!" Monica cried out. The priest paused. "Please, tell him one thing for me," she said through tears. "Tell him, his mother loves him. Even if the world forgets him, I never will." The priest nodded once and disappeared into the thick bush. The baby's soft voice could still be heard for a few seconds, little coos and soft breaths. Then a silence. Monica stared at the trees. Her knees gave way, and she dropped to the ground. "Obinna!" she screamed. "Obinna, come back to me!" Eukarya fell beside her, hugging her tightly. "You must let him go," she whispered. "If you keep looking back, your heart will never heal." Mr. Okonkwo turned his face to the side, hiding his tears. "The gods have taken what is theirs. But may they return peace to our home." They remained there for a few moments, just listening to the quiet. There were no drums, no songs, just the sound of a family mourning something still alive, yet already lost. Finally the priest returned, alone. "It is done," he said. Monica couldn't look at him. She just turned her face into her mother's lap, crying like the world had ended. The priest placed a piece of palm frond in Mr. Okonkwo's hand. "Keep this in your compound. Let no visitor cross it until 7 days pass. Let the home be silent." They nodded. As the family began the slow walk back home, the forest behind them returned to its stillness. And in the silence, it felt as if even the spirits were holding their breath, waiting to see how this dark destiny would one day return. The forest was still, its trees swaying gently under the evening breeze. The birds had gone quiet, the leaves whispered only to themselves, and the animals stayed hidden. Yet, in the heart of the evil forest, a sound broke the silence, a loud, helpless, desperate cry of a baby. The cry pierced the thick silence of the forest, echoing far into the distance. Joseph, a hunter from the distant Kuvuku Kingdom, was in the forest that day, searching for prey. He had been hunting for hours without success. Suddenly, he heard the soft wailing of a baby. First he froze. What kind of spirit would leave the cry of a baby deep in such a cursed forest? But the cry continued, stronger this time. Joseph, guided by both curiosity and courage, crept closer, following the sound. To his shock, he found a baby boy wrapped in cloth, abandoned in a basket made of palm fronds. His heart melted. Joseph raced through the narrow forest path, the crying baby in his arms. His breath was heavy, his heart pounding, not from fear but from urgency. The sound of the child's wail still rang in his ears. Something about the whole thing didn't make sense, yet he couldn't stop himself from saving the child. When he reached the edge of Kuvuku village, he didn't even stop to rest. He burst into his compound and shouted, "Maria! Maria! Come quickly!" His wife, startled, dropped the bowl of cassava flour she was sifting and rushed out of the kitchen hut, tying her wrapper tightly around her waist. "Joseph, what is it? What happened?" she asked, panting. Joseph gently opened the cloth wrapping, revealing the tiny baby nestled inside the palm frond basket. Maria gasped and fell to her knees. "Jesus, baby! Joseph, where did you find this child?" "In the evil forest," he replied, still trying to catch his breath. "I was tracking an antelope and heard him crying. First I thought it was a trick, maybe spirits. But when I got closer it was real. Just this baby alone. No footprints. No signs of anyone. Just him." Maria took the baby from his arms and held him close to her chest. The baby stopped crying almost immediately. "Look at that," Joseph said softly. "He knows a mother's touch." Maria was weeping now, rocking gently on her knees. "For 20 years we have waited," she whispered. "For 20 years we have begged God, prayed, fasted, gone from healer to healer. And today, a child appears." Joseph knelt beside her. "I don't understand it, Maria. Why would someone abandon a child in the evil forest?" Maria shook her head. "Maybe it's not for us to understand. Maybe it's a divine gift. Second chance. I don't know where he came from, but I know one thing. This child is ours now." They both sat in silence for a few moments, listening to the baby's soft breaths. Then Joseph asked, "What do we name him?" Maria looked up at her husband, her eyes red but hopeful. "Miracle. Miracle," he repeated. "Yes," she said, "because that's what he is. A miracle. He came when we least expected. He came when we had given up hope. We were childless yesterday. Today we are parents." Joseph smiled for the first time that day. "Miracle it is." They stood up and took the child inside. Maria wrapped him in a fresh cloth, bathed him with warm water, and gave him a few drops of palm kernel oil. Joseph slaughtered a chicken and thanked the ancestors in quiet prayer. By evening, word had begun to spread around the neighborhood that the hunter and his wife now had a baby. Neighbors came to see. Some congratulated them. Some were suspicious. "Joseph," one elder said, "you say you found this baby in the forest? Alone. That's not normal." "I know it's not," Joseph replied calmly. "But the gods move in strange ways. And you will raise him as your son." "I will raise him as my own blood," he said. "Because the day I found him I felt something change inside me. I have never felt so sure about anything." Maria held Miracle in her arms and added, "We don't know where he came from, but we know why he came, to fill this empty house with joy." That night, for the first time in 20 years, the small house echoed with the soft sounds of a baby sleeping in peace. Joseph and Maria stayed awake for hours, watching over him, smiling, and thanking God for what they believed was a second chance at life. Outside, the wind whispered through the trees, and the moon lit the roof of their home as if even the sky was celebrating the arrival of Miracle. As the years passed, Miracle grew into a strong and intelligent boy. From the moment he started walking and talking, he stood out among other children in Kuvuku Kingdom. By the age of 10, he was already doing things that amazed adults. He could sweep the compound, fetch water, split firewood, and even help his mother Maria on the farm, all without being told. "This boy is different," the neighbors often said. "If every child were like Miracle, mothers would never know stress." In the mornings, Maria would wake up early and find that Miracle had already cleaned the yard and fetched firewood. One day, as she entered the kitchen to start cooking, she looked at him and smiled. "Miracle, don't you ever get tired?" He laughed softly. "No, Mama. I like helping you. You and Papa gave me everything." It's the least I can do." Maria's eyes watered. She turned away quickly so he wouldn't see her tears. "God truly blessed us," she whispered to herself. Miracle wasn't only hardworking at home. He was also helpful in the forest. He often followed Joseph, his father, to check animal traps, carry firewood, and help smoke meat for the market. Joseph would look at his son with pride and say to his fellow hunters, "This boy is not ordinary. I didn't teach him some things. He just knows." One early morning, as Joseph sharpened his hunting knife and packed his tools, Miracle came outside, rubbing his sleepy eyes. "Papa," he said softly, "can I follow you today to the forest?" Joseph looked up and smiled. "You want to hunt with me?" "Yes, I do," Miracle replied with excitement in his voice. "I've been watching you for years. I want to learn." Joseph placed the knife down and stood, walking over to him. He placed both hands on Miracle's shoulders and said gently, "My son, I'm happy you want to join me. But hunting is not easy. The forest is wide. There are rules, dangers, and spirits that don't like strangers." "I'm not afraid, Papa," Miracle said. "I'll be careful. Teach me." Joseph chuckled. "You remind me of myself when I was your age. But not today, Miracle. Today I have to go deep into the forest. It will take time to teach you the ways of hunting. You must first know how to walk the forest, read animal tracks, and use the tools. And speaking of tools, you'll need your own." Miracle nodded respectfully. "Okay, Papa. Understand. I will wait." Joseph looked at his son, impressed by how mature he was. "I promise you, son. Very soon I'll start teaching you everything. And one day, you'll be the best hunter in this kingdom." Maria stood by the door, smiling as she watched the two of them talk. Later that day, as Joseph walked into the forest alone, he kept thinking about Miracle's words. "He's ready," he thought to himself. "And when the time comes, I'll teach him everything I know." That evening, Miracle helped his mother cook. He also made sure the goats were fed and the compound was swept before sunset. As they sat outside under the moonlight, Maria looked at her son and said, "Miracle, you are a true blessing. I pray nothing ever takes you away from me." Miracle smiled and rested his head on her shoulder. The stars twinkled above, and the cool night breeze danced around them. Miracle was not just any child. He was a child like no other. After weeks of asking, Joseph finally started teaching Miracle how to hunt. He showed him how to track animals by looking at their footprints. He taught him how to move quietly so animals wouldn't hear his steps. He even explained how to tell when danger was close, just by listening to the birds and the wind. "Look," Joseph said one day, pointing to the ground. "Do you see those marks?" Miracle nodded. "They look like tiny hoof prints." "Good," Joseph smiled. "That's a bushbuck. Passed here not long ago. Maybe 15 minutes. Miracle's eyes lit up. "Can we follow it?" "Not today," Joseph said with a grin. "Today we're just learning. Hunting is not always about chasing. It's about watching, listening, and understanding the forest." Every day they went deeper into the forest. Joseph gave Miracle his own small knife, a sling, and later, a small trap to practice with. Miracle was fast. He learned in weeks what took others years to understand. Before long, Joseph started taking him for real hunts. Miracle helped carry the meat, set traps, and even hit a bird with his sling one day. "Papa," he shouted. "I got it." Joseph ran to see. "You did. Show me." Miracle proudly lifted a small bird with his sling still in hand. Joseph laughed. "My son, you're learning fast. You are truly born for this." One afternoon, after many hunts, Joseph came back home very tired. He lay down on a bench outside their house and said, "Miracle, let's rest tomorrow. My legs feel like firewood." "Okay, Papa," Miracle said. "We'll rest." But very early the next morning, Miracle woke up quietly. He took his small tools, filled his water gourd, and walked softly out of the house. He didn't go to their usual hunting area. Instead, he walked deep, very deep, into the thick part of the forest. The air there was different, cold, quiet, strange, but he felt something pulling him, like a voice whispering, "Come." He moved carefully, listening to every sound, following strange hoofprints and broken leaves. After hours of tracking, he aimed his spear, and with one strong throw, brought down a large antelope. He also caught 4 grass cutters with his traps. When he returned home around sunset, he dropped the meat near the kitchen. "Papa, Mama, I'm back," he shouted. Maria came out first. What is all this? Where did you get it?" Miracle smiled. "From the forest. I went hunting." Joseph stepped out, still stretching from his rest. "What? You went alone?" "Yes, Papa." Joseph walked to the meat and looked closely. This antelope is from the deep part of the forest. These types don't come near the outer side." Miracle nodded. "Yes, I went far." Joseph's face changed. He looked serious now. "Miracle, listen to me carefully. Never go to that part of the forest again. Do you understand?" "Why, Papa?" "That side is dangerous. It is not like other places. Hunters have entered there and never returned. The land there is not clean." Miracle lowered his head. "I'm sorry, Papa. I just wanted to try." Joseph placed his hand on Miracle's shoulder. "I know you're brave and you're gifted, but sometimes being wise is better than being bold. Next time, wait for me." Miracle nodded slowly. "Yes, Papa." But deep inside, something still pulled him to that forest. He didn't know what it was, but it felt familiar, like a voice calling him home. And from that day, he became known as a boy with the heart of a lion. It was a bright morning. The birds were singing, and the sun was rising slowly over Kuvuku Kingdom. Maria stood in the kitchen area, tying her wrapper as she prepared food. "Miracle," she called out. "Yes, Mama," he answered from outside. "Please go to the market and buy these items," she said, handing him a small bag with money and a list. "We need tomatoes, pepper, onions, and gari. Don't forget." Miracle smiled. "I won't forget, Mama. I'll be back soon." He slung the bag over his shoulder and began his walk toward the busy market square. The market was full that day. People were shouting prices, children were running around, goats were bleating, and traders from other villages were selling their goods. As Miracle walked through the crowd trying to find the tomato seller, he didn't notice a woman coming from the other side. They bumped into each other hard. Thud! The woman's basket fell to the ground, spilling fresh cocoa pods everywhere. "Oh my God! I'm so sorry," Miracle said quickly, bending down to help. No, it's all right," the woman replied, kneeling beside him. Their hands reached for the same cocoa pod and touched. For a moment, the noise of the market faded. They both looked into each other's eyes. Time slowed down. Neither of them spoke for a few seconds. They just stared, confused but deeply connected. It felt like they had known each other forever, but couldn't explain how or why. Are you okay?" Miracle finally asked, still holding the cocoa pod. "Yes," the woman answered softly. "Thank you." They continued picking the cocoa back into the basket. Miracle glanced at her again. She had kind eyes, a gentle smile, and a calm spirit. Something about her made his heart beat faster. "I wasn't looking," he said. "It's my fault." "It's all right," she smiled again. "These things happen." Just then, a woman selling vegetables beside them said, "Young man, help her carry it back to her table. That was a hard fall." "Oh, yes, of course," Miracle said. "Thank you," the woman said quietly, handing him the basket. They walked side by side through the crowd. "So, you sell cocoa?" he asked. "Yes, I'm from Umuchu Kingdom. I bring cocoa here every week to sell." "Umuchu? That's far," Miracle said. "Yes, but I enjoy the journey," she replied. "And this market is always full of life." When they reached her stall, she thanked him again. "I didn't get your name," she said, wiping sweat from her forehead. "I'm Miracle," he said. Pause. "That's a beautiful name." "And you?" he asked. "Monica." They looked at each other again. That strange warmth returned. "It was nice meeting you," she said, looking down shyly. "Same here," Miracle said, smiling. "Maybe I'll see you again when I come to the market." Monica nodded, then turned back to arrange her goods. As Miracle walked away, his heart was racing. "Why do I feel like I've known her all my life?" he thought. "What kind of connection is this?" Meanwhile, Monica also couldn't stop thinking. "Who is that boy?" she asked herself. "Why did I feel something when we touched? Why does his name sound familiar?" Neither of them knew the truth. Mother and son had just met, without knowing they were blood. And destiny had just taken one more dangerous step toward fulfillment. That night, Miracle lay on his bed, staring at the ceiling. The soft sound of crickets filled the room, but all he could hear was her voice, her smile, the way her eyes looked at him, the way her hand felt when it touched his. "Monica," he whispered. He turned from side to side, trying to sleep, but he couldn't. Something inside him kept thinking about her. At the same time, in a small hut at the edge of Kuvuku Market, Monica was also awake. She sat by the window, looking at the moon. "Miracle," she said softly. "Why does this feel so deep, so strong?" She had only met him once, but it felt like she had known him all her life. Days passed. Then, one morning, as Monica was setting up her cocoa for sale at the market, she heard a familiar voice. "Good morning, Monica." She turned around and saw him, Miracle, standing there with a shy smile. "Oh, you again?" She smiled, her heart beating faster. "I told you I might see you again," he laughed. "I came to buy some items for my mother. But maybe I came to see you too." Monica blushed. "Well, you're welcome." From that day on, they kept meeting. The market, on the road, sometimes by accident, sometimes on purpose. They started talking more, laughing more, and even walking home together after market days. One afternoon, as they sat by the riverbank, watching the water flow, Miracle looked at her. "You know, I've never felt like this before," he said. Monica turned to him. "Like what?" "Like I found someone who understands me, without even trying." She smiled. "I feel the same." Their connection grew stronger each day. They talked about their dreams, their struggles, their favorite foods, and childhood memories, never knowing that those memories were linked in ways they couldn't imagine. After a few months, Miracle said to her one evening, "Monica, I know we haven't known each other for long, but I feel like I've known you forever. I want to be with you. Will you marry me?" Monica's eyes filled with tears. "Yes, yes, I will." They told their families, and everyone was happy. Maria and Joseph danced with joy. They believed their son had found true love. Monica's people in Umuchu were also pleased. especially since she had waited many years to find love again. Soon the wedding day arrived. The village of Kuvuku was alive with music, dancing, food, and celebration. People came from near and far. Palm wine flowed, drums beat loud, and the elders blessed the couple. Miracle and Monica are a perfect match, many people said. They are meant for each other. But no one knew the truth. Not Joseph, not Maria, not Monica, not even Miracle. The gods, however, knew, and they were silent, watching. For though the couple was full of love and joy, they were standing on a path shaped long ago, a path that should never have been walked. After their beautiful wedding, Miracle and Monica were filled with joy and hope. Their love was strong, their home was peaceful, and they both looked forward to starting a family. Not long after Monica became pregnant, everyone celebrated. "Ah, this child will complete their joy," people said. Miracle would smile at Monica's growing belly and say, "I can't wait to hold our baby in my arms." Maria and Joseph were excited to become grandparents, but the day of delivery came, and everything changed. The baby was born but did not cry. The midwife pressed on its chest, blew air into its mouth and prayed, but it was too late. The child was dead. Monica cried uncontrollably. Miracle held her in his arms, trying to be strong. "Maybe it was not meant to be," he whispered. "God will give us another one." Months later, Monica became pregnant again. This time they were more careful. They prayed, they fasted, they followed every instruction. But again, the child died during childbirth. This time Monica refused to eat for days. "What is wrong with me?" she wept. "What have I done?" Miracle knelt beside her. "No, my love. Don't blame yourself. We will try again. We won't give up." But it happened again and again. 4 times. For pregnancies. For deaths. People in Kuvuku began to whisper, "Something is wrong with that marriage. Maybe the gods are not happy." Some even said, "They are cursed." Joseph and Maria were deeply worried. Joseph sat one night under the moonlight with Miracle. "My son," he said softly, "this is no longer normal. I think you need to seek help. Not from man, but from the spirits." Monica also agreed. "Let's see a spiritualist," she told Miracle. "This pain is too much for us to carry alone." So they traveled to a distant village to meet a well-known spiritualist. The old man welcomed them with herbs and smoke, then looked into his sacred mirror. After a long silence he said, "This is beyond me. The problem is not physical. It is not even spiritual in the usual way. It is destiny. You must go back to your roots. Go to your shrine. That is where the answers are hidden." So they returned to Kuvuku's shrine and met with the chief priest. The priest sat before the sacred fire, tied a red cloth around his forehead, and began his chants. He poured libations, broke coconuts, and threw sacred stones. Then the wind blew strong. The fire turned blue. His voice changed. His eyes widened. He stood up suddenly and pointed at them. "This marriage is cursed," he shouted. Miracle and Monica looked at each other in confusion and fear. "What do you mean?" Miracle asked. "You two are not supposed to be together," the priest said with a heavy voice. "You are not husband and wife. You are mother and son." Monica screamed and stepped back. "What? No, that's not true. It's not possible," Miracle shouted. "You must be wrong." The priest shook his head slowly. "The gods do not lie. This union should never have happened. The prophecy is being fulfilled." "What prophecy?" Monica cried. The priest looked into the fire and spoke calmly. "Many years ago in the land of Umuchu, a child was born with a dark destiny. a child destined to marry and impregnate his own mother. That child was taken to the evil forest. But he did not die. He was found. He was raised by another family. And now, that child has grown and fulfilled what the gods once warned. Silence filled the shrine. Miracle fell to the ground. His chest rose and fell as tears filled his eyes. Monica covered her face and sobbed loudly. They had unknowingly walked into the very future they tried to escape. As soon as the chief priest spoke those final words, Monica's eyes rolled back and she collapsed to the ground. "Monica!" Miracle shouted, running to hold her. She was unconscious. The priest signaled one of the shrine assistants to bring water. They sprinkled it on her face until she slowly opened her eyes, her lips shaking. "No, no, this cannot be," she whispered. Miracle sat beside her, completely still. His whole body was cold. His hands were shaking. He looked at the priest and said, "Please, please explain this. Tell me it's not true." The priest sat back down and spoke with a calm but heavy voice. "Years ago in Umuchu Kingdom, a girl named Monica gave birth to a baby boy, outside of marriage. According to tradition, the child was taken to the shrine of Ogwugwu. There, it was revealed that the boy had a dark destiny. He was destined to marry and impregnate his own mother." Miracle's eyes widened in shock. The priest continued, "Because of that, the child was taken to the evil forest to be left for death. But the child did not die. A hunter from Kuvuku Kingdom found the boy, crying, and took him home. He and his wife, who had no child for 20 years, raised that baby and named him." He paused and looked directly at Miracle. "Miracle!" Miracle's lips parted, but no words came out. He turned to Monica. She stared back at him, tears falling from her eyes. "You're my son," she said in a weak voice. "You're my mother," Miracle replied, his voice cracking. At that moment, Joseph and Maria were called into the shrine. They entered, confused, and saw Miracle and Monica both on the floor. "Papa! Mama!" Miracle called out. "Is it true? Did you find me in the forest?" Joseph looked at Maria, then slowly nodded. "Yes, my son. We did." Maria stepped forward, tears already in her eyes. "You were just a baby, crying alone in the basket. We thought you were a gift from God. We named you Miracle because we had no child of our own." The priest confirmed their story. They didn't know about the prophecy. They only saw a baby and chose to save him. Miracle stood up slowly and looked around the room. His heart was broken. His mind was full of questions. His knees became weak again, and he fell back down, holding his head. "How can this be?" he cried. "I married my own mother. The woman I love is my mother." Monica screamed, holding her chest. "No, my only son. I married my only son." Joseph sat on the ground, burying his face in his hands. Maria cried quietly, staring at the boy she had raised like her own. The chief priest shook his head sadly. "This is why the gods took your children," he said. "It was never a normal marriage. It was a forbidden union, one written in prophecy, a destiny no one could stop." Silence filled the shrine. Only the sound of weeping could be heard. The fire in the shrine flickered. The ancestors had spoken. The truth had come to light. The love between Monica and Miracle was no longer love. It had become a curse. Now they would have to face the consequences. The truth was out. The shrine was filled with pain, regret, and shame. No one spoke for a long time. The air was heavy. The chief priest finally stood and said, Now that the truth has been revealed, something must be done. This land must be cleansed. The gods are not happy. He turned to the elders and listed what must be done. Goats, coconuts, palm oil, alligator pepper, white fowls, and 7 days of fasting. These are the sacrifices required to break the curse. Miracle and Monica listened quietly. They had no strength left to speak. Their hearts were already broken. The next morning, the people of Kuvuku Kingdom gathered to witness the cleansing ceremony. The chief priest led the rituals with chants and sacred items. The goats were slaughtered, the coconuts broken, and the libations poured. 7 days passed with prayers and fasting. On the final day, the chief priest stood before the villagers and declared, "Today, the bond between mother and son, which became husband and wife, is broken. Spiritually and traditionally, they are no longer married. The curse is lifted." He turned to Monica. "You must go into isolation for 1 year. You will live alone, away from the village, to cleanse your body and soul. Only after that will you be allowed to return." Monica nodded slowly, her eyes filled with tears. She didn't speak. She only looked at Miracle one last time and turned away. Then the priest faced Miracle. "You will return home. But you must not go near her during this time. You must also heal." Miracle bowed his head. "I understand." Maria held Miracle's hand as they walked away from the shrine. "We still love you, my son. None of this is your fault." Joseph added, "You are still the boy we raised, still our blessing." "Thank you, Papa." "Thank you, Mama," Miracle said quietly, his eyes wet. But inside he felt empty. Weeks passed. Miracle tried to live a normal life, but nothing felt the same. He often walked deep into the forest, not to hunt, but to sit under the tall trees and think. He would listen to the wind, to the birds, to the silence. He found peace there. One day, Maria brought him food and sat beside him. "Are you still hurting?" she asked. Miracle nodded. "Yes, I don't think I will ever stop hurting. But I'm learning to live with it." "You are strong," Maria said, placing a hand on his shoulder. "And we are here for you. Always." Miracle looked at her, then up at the sky. "Maybe this was my destiny, to walk through pain and still stand." Maria smiled. "Maybe. But remember, you are not cursed. You are still Miracle." A year later, Monica returned from isolation. She had changed. Her eyes were calmer, and her heart was healing. She met Miracle one day by the river. They didn't say much, just looked at each other, then sat in silence. After a long while, Monica said, "I forgive myself, and I forgive fate." Miracle nodded. "So do I." They would never be the same, but they had survived. They had faced a dark destiny and found a way to stand again. The story of Miracle and Monica spread across kingdoms, not as gossip but as a lesson. People would whisper, "Have you heard the story of the boy who married his mother?" But they would also say, "Have you heard how they survived it?" In the end, Miracle found peace in the forest, in his heart, and in the truth. And from that day forward, elders taught the young, respect the voice of destiny. What is hidden may one day rise, and what is meant to be will always find its way. Moral lesson: they say love is powerful, but destiny is more powerful. In trying to escape prophecy, Monica's family had only delayed the inevitable. What is written by the gods cannot be unwritten by man.